What's up boys, in today's video I'm going to show you the best in-game settings for Rainbow Six Siege in 2024. Kicking things off with the general settings, we're only going to change a few little bits in here, starting with the display performance metrics. We're going to keep this on minimal metrics so we can see our FPS count, our GPU response time and our ping in this little black box in the bottom left hand corner. For connectivity feedback, keep this on icons only. That just means you can see your hit reg, if you're getting any packet loss, any FPS drops. It just shows you that little icon, but keeps the screen not so cluttered by having the wording as well. Cycle inside camera groups, keep this off. Diffuser pickup, you can have it on automatic, manual or semi-auto, whatever works the best for you. I ran it on manual for a while, but ended up losing a round because of that, and so going forwards I've kept it on automatic. Visible throw trajectory, keep this on. It allows you to line up some pretty nasty C4s, as well as things like Valkyrie cameras or Kiba barriers. Drone after prep, always keep this on manual. That just means if the prep phase is finishing, you won't get pulled out of the observation tool. So if a defender is chasing your drone, for example, it means you can get it to safety, get it set up for the round. Match replay on, text channel all, crossplay matchmaking on, and yeah, moving into the HUD. We're going to be keeping the compass on here, but keeping it simplified. Now there are some players like Spoit who play with it off, and if you played the game all the way since launch, then you probably know your callouts. For myself, I only came back to the game in Year 9 Season 1, and it's been since Chimera since I've played, so having those callouts in the bottom is very helpful. Only change here is keeping elimination marker off. You just don't really need it, and you're not really looking at your compass to see them. Moving down to equipment, loadout inputs on and on. So player status, this is one big change where I'd recommend keeping health off. Now this is very personal preference, but from experience, every time I play with health off, I play a lot more confidently, and that results in getting more kills. I can't tell you the amount of times I've been put to 1 HP, re-peaked because I wasn't thinking about my health, and got the kill. But at the end of the day, it's whatever you prefer, so have it on, just have the number, or have the full health bar. I'd keep general reminders off, but keep everything else on. For reticle, keep it all the same. For environment, I keep teammate outlines and teammate usernames off. It's just excess clutter on your screen, and as long as you have good map awareness, you'll always know where your teammates are, so you don't really need the outlines. Match info, I keep round number off, same with bans and score updates. It's just excess stuff on your screen that you don't need. You can see all of it in your HUD anyway, so as long as you're being aware and checking your HUD, you won't need to see it. Bans being off is just where you get all those annoying ban lines come through in between rounds. So everything else in terms of other on, just keep operator guides off. As long as you played the game for a little while, you won't need these. Hopping into audio, most things here are personal preference, but dynamic range is the one thing you should definitely play about with and see what you prefer. For the longest time, night mode was the GOAT, everyone used it, but as time's gone on, hi-fi's definitely come back into fashion, I suppose, a little bit. If you've got a really high quality headset, hi-fi will give you the best quality overall because it is the least compressed sound, so you get overall the best clarity, so you hear the most. The payoff to that is it can be quite jarring because the gunshots are also very loud, so as much as you can hear footsteps slightly better, everything else is also a lot louder. I'll play about with both, see which one you prefer. Going into display, for resolution, you want to keep this at the maximum possible. Display mode, keep this in full screen. If you have 2 monitors, it is tempting to run borderless, but full screen will give you the maximum FPS. Refresh rate, just put this at the highest possible. For myself, that's 240. And for aspect ratio, I'd recommend either 4:3, 3:2 or 16:10. This is what pretty much all the pro players play on, and it's just slightly stretched. 4:3 is by far the most stretch res. For myself, I used to play Counter-Strike on stretch res, so it just feels natural to me. But play about with them. If you've always played on default, I'd recommend going from 16:9, which is default, up to 16:10. See how it feels. It just slightly stretches player models, so hitting the head can be a little bit easier. VSync needs to be off, FPS limit off, widescreen letterbox off, and the field of view, anywhere between sort of 85 and 90 is optimal. HUD display area, I keep slightly tighter, so sort of 83, 82. That just means that my eyes don't have to move so far in order to check things like my ammo count or how many teammates I have alive. Same with menu display area, that's just quality of life whilst you're in the menu. So, graphics. Now we're going to start off with Nvidia Reflex low latency, and depending on your rig, this may be off, on, or on plus boost. So this is one of the main settings you're going to want to actually benchmark to see what works best with your computer. So as for the graphics quality, I'm going to keep the texture quality on medium or low here. Low just looks a bit too Play-Doh-y for me, so I run it on medium, but low will technically give you the highest FPS. Texture filtering on linear, LOD quality on very high or ultra, shading quality on low, shadow quality on medium. That just means if there is a player whose shadow is kind of showing through a doorway, you will actually see it, whereas if you have it on low, you won't see it. Reflection quality on low, VFX quality low, ambient occlusion off, lens effects off, zoom in depth of field off. And I haven't actually used Nvidia DLSS enough to kind of feel out whether or not it's better to have it on or off. For now, I've kept it off and I've got no complaints, so yeah. Anti-aliasing, I'd also keep this off, especially in a game like Siege where pixel peaking is so prevalent. Anti-aliasing can essentially merge pixels, and so there'll be chances that you won't see people when they can see you. So for controls, I use 65-65, which looks remarkably high, but I'm actually playing on 1600 DPI with a 0.001 multiplier. So later in the video, I'll show you how to change your in-game multiplier, which just allows you to have a little bit more control over the micro adjustments of your sensitivity. But the equivalent to my Sens is 413. For ADS sensitivities, I have a 1x on 40, 2.5 on 65, 3.5 on 75, 5x on 74, and the 12x on 100. Mouse scroll is very much personal preference. I'd recommend keeping it disabled if you're used to using 1 and 2 to swap weapons. For gadget deployment, you definitely want to keep this on advanced. This allows you to essentially animation cancel, so rather than deploying your gadget all in one animation, your character will bring it out, then you'll get the prompt to use it. So that can save your life in a lot of situations if you pull out a gadget and somebody peeks you. The same applies for drone deployment. This can allow you to throw your drone to bait people without going immediately into the observation tool. Aim, I'd keep on hold, lean on toggle, sprint on hold, crouch on hold, but you could also play on toggle if that feels more comfortable for you, prone on toggle, and walk on hold, which just allows you to have the quickest transition between walking and sprinting. Privacy, this is just where you can change your nickname and choose to appear as it. As for accessibility, I'd recommend running an optic color of light blue or turquoise with the opacity still at 100. Make sure screen shake intensity is off. I cannot stress this enough. It gives you no value by having it on. Team colors, blue and red, but you could also run orange and blue. The reason for this is if you run orange and blue, you'll technically see Capcan's lasers slightly easier, because red is a color that our eyes don't pick up quite as easily as, say, blue for example. It does mean that you'd have a better chance of seeing that laser before it blows you up. Great stuff. So now I will show you how to change your in-game multiplier. Okay, so you're going to start by going to Documents, and then you're going to find the file called My Games, and then click on Rainbow Six Siege. Now in here, there'll be a file with a string of numbers. Click that and open the Game Settings Notes file. Scroll down to Mouse Sensitivity Multiplier, and it's here that you can change it to whatever you want. So either 0.001, 0.002, whatever you want to then edit your Sens. Save it again, and it will say do you want to replace it. You click yes, close it, and then restart the game. So if you have GeForce experience, so if you're running an Nvidia graphics card, if you click Alt F3 when you're in game, it will bring up the game filter. Now there's two filters here that I'd recommend. One is color and one is sharpen. So these just make the game look slightly better. In color, you just put the vibrance to 10, everything else to 0, and in sharpen, I'd say keep it at about 20% with the film grain intensity at 5. And that's it, guys. That's all of the settings you'll need for Rainbow Six Siege in 2024. Now there are some Windows settings that you can also change to help out. If you want me to go into depth of those, let me know and I'll do another video.